Good morning, guys. Welcome to Monday, the 23rd of November. We are inching closer to Christmas, as I'm sure you're all aware. And of course, we're here back with your host, me, Greg Secker, in the trading den. And today is going to be this is about 11:15 in the morning. So it's going to be another one of those sessions where I walk you through my ideas for the markets as they're opening up. And I'll be using my favorite software tool of choice, which is Smart Charts, and seeing what that is suggesting ahead of the trading session today. Now, I must start today's session off by saying to you all, thank you so much for the big support that you've been giving me on this channel. I started in January this year, and we are inching closer to 100,000 subscribers. I expect us to be there as we edge into December. So to celebrate that, we're going to be giving some prizes and some gifts away. So please stay peeled for that, my dear channel subscribers, because you've helped us get there. We're also going to be launching something pretty exciting, and I want to get your feedback on it. Many of you have been asking, can I have a live session with you, Greg? So when I do these sessions, we've actually just been implementing some technology so I can zap other traders in, so I can actually do what I'm doing now, but kind of do it in real time to you. If that's something you're interested in, please leave a note in the comment, because it's something we're now looking at launching, which is the ability to actually watch me do my analysis live and in market context. And the reason I like that is so when things are happening live in market context, you can see my thinking and then look at charts and see what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. I will tell you this, though, it is not going to be a tipping service. That is certainly something I'm absolutely adamantly against. I'm trying to empower the private investor, the individual, you, in making smart decisions based on knowledge, based on strategy, and based on understanding of contextual market conditions. So this is really a live session I'm going to start launching very, very soon. If you're interested, please let me know in the comments. On that, let's get into the session. I know you're going to be watching this later on today, but hopefully soon. This is one of the last times you will have to watch it later on. We're looking at bringing a live service to you so you can actually see me do it as things happen. Okay, let's jump into Smart Charts and see what is happening as we are now bordering the last week of November. We know, of course, it's Thanksgiving this week, so there is some market reaction to that. We also know that all of these nice, very happy news announcements surrounding Moderna, surrounding AstraZeneca, surrounding any of these vaccines has really pushed markets up. Markets are tending at the moment to really favor that positive news and kind of dumb down any of the negative news surrounding further lockdown extensions, for example. We're hearing today off the Prime Minister in Parliament that we will be allowed to see our friends and family at Christmas time. So that's giving markets a little bit of a boost. And you're going to see that as we now jump into the charts. I'm going to start today by looking at a couple of currencies that I am BDI watching right now. So I'm going to start myself off, as we now jump into Smart Charts, with my dear Aussie friend, the Australian dollar. I'm going to bring the chart nice and big so you can see what's going on here. But really, you should be aware that we've done, and I've left some of my scribblings, as I always do. I'm actually going to take all these news announcements off. I don't need to see those right now. So let me just pop them off for a second and go to trading and say, I don't want to see high impact. I don't want to see medium impact. I just want this kind of cleaned up. This was some work I was doing earlier on. For those of you who've just logged into Smart Charts will know that there's been some upgrades on Smart Charts. So for many of you have written in and said, thanks very much for those upgrades, because they just make life a lot easier for us. So let me just show you what I mean by that. My team, fortunately, that watch me and then feed back to the developers of Smart Charts saying, Greg wants this, Greg wants that. Well, things have been going quite nicely, actually, on that front. So there's like nice, cool things like just from here, there's now a ruler I can just grab nice and quickly and easily. I can measure the price from here to here, and I can say, okay, that's 300 odd pips. I can then go back to here and just grabbing that tool just gives me a quick little view of how many pips I'm talking about. So that's 110 pips there. And then it pings off. So it just gives me a nice quick read. There's loads of tools in there. And if you haven't seen it, go into the Learn section if you're a Smart Charts user. And the latest updates will be there all the time. This is an addition I wanted. The team is constantly adding new tools to Smart Charts, often from people like you on this channel, writing in and saying, look, can we have this and can we have that? And all sorts of things that have been added recently. There is now a video released every single time we do an update, so you guys know exactly what updates are hitting the system and how they benefit for you. But most of the time, It's just very clever tools to make your trading easier, your analysis easier, and really just adding clarity to the picture. I'm really loving the interactivity of the development team behind this and how quickly they're adding new features. So I'm getting kind of excited about that. You can probably tell. But let's have a look at Aussie, because that's what I'm looking at the moment. I'm just going to remove some of these old drawings that I had off previous sessions that we've had together, and just show you this consolidation. Now, I quite like the look of this consolidation. I like the picture here, which is above that 73.30 level, 0.7330 level. To me, says there's some upside potential if you look at the chart, and could top out at 74.12, something like that. So there's an area here which I like the look of. We're nicely above the 50, we're nicely above the 200. We've got positive news out in Australia, and there are buyers of Aussie out there. We know, we can see that on the chart anyway. So there's 100 pip upside here, and I like the look of that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to place a trade on this on the daily chart. In order to find entries and exit, going to go down a level into some smaller time frames, often the 4-hour chart, often the hourly chart. So let's dig into that. If I bring up the 4-hour chart here, you can certainly see, if we go back a little bit further, what the real picture is now. So this is really like taking that daily chart, but just kind of breaking it down into 4-hour segments. And from doing that, we can then start to size up, well, where would our profit targets be? Where would we place our stop loss? What makes sense? Well, what makes sense, obviously, if we just expand this chart to here, we could say, well, look, if we were to drop and just use this tool, just as a measuring tool more than anything, you'll now see the take profit, buy entry, and stop loss has now been flipped to the right-hand side. It just kind of makes more sense for it to be this. There's lots of cosmetic changes like that, which can help. And therefore, you get a nice, easy read of what you're doing here. So you can see, well, look, if I was to target 72 pips on the upside, right? Then if my buy entry was just above this level here, which let's say that would be that 73.41 level, clearing that 73.30 level, then really clearly, where should the stop loss be? Well, look, we're looking at this on the 4-hour chart. Where has the market found some noise that it's sat underneath? And that noise would be underneath this level here. If I could just move that out of the way and just show you with my mouse, this level here. So this is where it's found some reaction. And so that could be a nice setup for me on my trading account. That's the kind of thing I like to look up. Then I get a nice test here by just checking. So I can call this I can call this something and say, well, there's no strategy on this. This is my Aussie idea on the 23rd of November. There you go. I've now labeled that so I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I'm happy. I can save this trade template if I want. So there's just extra buttons been added to make things just easier. So you're just doing less mouse clicks. It shows me my take profit there would be 72 pips from the entry. The buy entry would be the price of 73.41. So clearing that 30 level, which I quite like the look of. Stop loss is about 49 pips away. And so that, if there would be further upside potential on the Aussie, I could put a no expiry trade on that. And I could let that go. If I wanted to put a time period, I could, but I wouldn't. I would then just hit the green button, and then that would put that trade as a pending order. So should the market then hit that level, I would then be triggered in at 73.41. Might be able to get as far as 74.13. Not going for the top. Actually, that would be pulled down. That's right at the top there. Don't like that. I want that inside that. And that's how you then correct it. And then there you go. You're trying to take the market before it reaches its full potential. And that's how you could set that trade up on the Aussie dollar. And that's kind of what I'm liking the look of. For myself, that would be something if it gets there. Now, there's no telling if it will get there. We use orders most of the time in our trading because rather than trying to hit something in a live market, which often you can get wrong, I like to place trades and like to analyze trades with a view that certain support and resistance levels need to be breached in order for me to get into those positions. So Aussie's something I've got my BDI on. Let's have a look at Euro as well. Why am I looking at Euro? Why am I looking at Aussie? Well, there's some good news out there. Things are starting to turn around. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And so we're going to look at this again from that macro or that higher time frame, that daily picture on the Euro. Again, look. It's the similar picture to what you're seeing on Aussie. You're breaking out of this range. Look at the amount of resistance we've had here, 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 and here. going to do a pop quiz on this one. This is the daily. Let's then jump down to the 4-hour chart on this. I could easily access that just by hitting that. And then you'll see I might need to just scrunch this down a little bit more. Now you can see the bigger picture. And if I was to say to you, and we'll do a little bit of a quiz on this for a cap. Remember, if you want to compete, give yourself a cap. And if you haven't seen what the caps look like, they look like this. There we are. If you want a cap like this, which I'm happy to send out to you, do need to put your email address on the comment field and the email address you want my team to contact you with, because we will need your postal address. Many people on the YouTube channel have been saying, yeah, Greg, I'd love a cap. We're like, where do we send it? It ain't digital. It is a physical thing. So make sure you put your email address on if you would like a cap, and we will certainly send one to you if your numbers are good enough. When I say if your numbers are good enough, I want a real good understanding of where you think, based on the analysis I just did on the Aussie, see if you can transpose that onto the euro and see if you can come up with sensible entries, sensible exits, and sensible places to put your stop loss. And maybe you could give us some kind of understanding as to where you think maybe the stop would be. Would it be around here, for example? Would the entry be, what would you need to get through for the entry? And then how far up do you think you can go? What therefore would be my questions? What's the 3 orders? The entry, the stop loss, and of course the take profit. They're 3 orders. Those that are closest to what I think the numbers should be will win a hat. Don't forget to leave your email address and give me an understanding of the risk profile. How much risk would you place on this trade? If you were to place this trade, I'd be really interested to hear what you guys have to say. So there's an interesting image there on euro, interesting image there on Aussie. Very similar, the two. Let's jump to sterling, the sterling picture. And let's have a look at what has happened on sterling. Now, we watched the big bump on sterling last week, did we not, when we got the news of the vaccine, over 90%. Apparently, if you take the vaccine in a small amount and then you supplement that with a larger amount, it's even more effective. So there seems to be positive news coming across the wires on that. Markets are loving that news. Markets are desperate to get out of this real hellhole that we've been in, which is 2020. And get us into more greener pastures. So you can see that across most of the markets. Sterling, here's a classic example. This is the daily chart, trying to break out again to new territories. What's the problem with buying sterling? If you're going to buy sterling right now, is there an issue there? Is there not an issue there? What's the picture of this chart? I'd love to hear your feedback on it. To me, it's pretty obvious, but I'd like to hear what you guys think. So you can put yourself in a little competition for that as well if you like, by putting your email address in and telling me what you think the image or the picture with the sterling and what the issue there would be. So there are some of the ideas. Now, let's just do what I always do on a Monday, which is jump and have a look at the daily picture for the FTSE 100. And now you know that Smart Charts runs a bunch of different strategies where it's looking to find trading opportunities based on some presets, of course, the preset strategy. You can see that's being triggered now. Now, look, this was the rally that we had last week. If you notice, look, this was steadily, look at this channel I drew in here. Look, remember this was like, this has been the year of hell, right? This has been June all the way through to November, which is we've been steadily downtrending, and then wallop. In the last couple of weeks, we have the vaccine news and off we go to the races. This was the big day, and then here on in, we seem to have consolidated and holding this picture. Well, we still are waiting for further Brexit negotiations. That means that we're seeing a little bit of softness. When we say softness, where would be an entry on the UK 100? Well, this is an interesting tie-up. This is the, as you know, the main pivot point line. We don't trade anything unless it breaks south of this blue line. South of this blue line. That's the main pivot point line. For those of you that have never traded pivot points before, just take a look at this channel. You'll see some instructional videos on how to understand pivot point lines. But basically, they're calculated from the previous trading sessions, trading activity. We look at the highs and the lows, where the markets have peaked out, where they've troughed out. And they generate what's called pivot point lines. These are Fibonacci corrected pivot point lines, which means they take in some numerology, if you will, of the cyclicity of numbers, just to perfect but basically they're supposed to be turning points in the market. These green lines are supposed to indicate resistance lines. These red lines below, if I just bring them so you can see them all, are supposed to indicate support lines in the market. So you can see price does seem to have an interaction with that. The rule of thumb of trading in a session is that we don't go long on anything unless it's clearly broken above the main pivot point line, which is this light blue line running through the middle. So that is a really important point of clarity. If this market was to break through this blue line, that would indicate there was more sellers in today's trading session on the FTSE 100, and then we'd be looking for opportunities to maximize that or to capitalize on it. One of those could well be the breakfast breakout. So if we see a combination of this breakout happening as it seems to be happening now, you can see this is the range. Remember, the breakfast breakout range is that first hour of the day. And then markets seem to be bouncing along, but there's some solid support here. This is the 200 on the 5-minute. And it seems to have bounced off it this morning. It was called this morning. This would be the stop loss here outside that range. And it's bounced off it again here. So we can see the markets are not getting through. So what we're looking for, of course, is should the market break through here and it combines with here, then we've potentially got a trade on. Don't forget, though, however, this is a short-term play, and it would be a short-term play. If you look at the FTSE 100, you can see that big rally, this big promise of the light at the end of the tunnel in the COVID-19 nightmare. The price is now above the 50 and the 200. We wouldn't be looking to take too shorter positions on that in even the medium term. So this would be a kind of a contrarian strategy, trying to make money in a trading session. There's always risk in doing that. The shorter the time frame, the more risk on the table. You guys need to be aware of that. So they're the things we're looking at this morning. We're looking at the Aussie, we're looking at the Euro. I want your feedback on sterling. There is a play on the FTSE 100. Should it do the pivot breakthrough? And we have to make sure that's then consistent with this strategy here, which is that breakfast breakout play. So that is your little wrap up for this morning. If you have any questions, please do put them in the comment field. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do get yourself on the subscription list. We'd love to have you. We're bordering 100,000 and we'd like you with us. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like. Now, please do join any of the competitions I've mentioned today. We are going to be doing prizes probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks when we cross that 100,000 line. I'm excited about it. So are the whole team. So we're going to try and make that special for you. And yet again, if you're interested in joining me on a live analysis session, what I'm going to do going to start to look at doing those on a Monday, maybe a Wednesday morning to give you guys real access to me, live in context, then please let me know in the comment field too. Until then, this is your host, Greg Secker, in the Trading Den. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Simon and Joe both invest in stocks. Simon uses eToro to invest in stocks without paying commission. Joe has to pay his bank a commission every time he buys or sells a stock. Simon uses copy.
Hi guys, well today we have a special session for you today in the Trading Den, but it's just me in the Trading Den. My entire crew, cameramen, the mixers, the producers, the script writers, not that we really use script writers, but we do have people who kind of collate all the questions and so on that we have on the channel. They're all gone. It's literally just me in the Trading Den, but therefore today it's just you and I exclusively here, and I'm therefore going to teach you one of my favorite tools of all time. Today I'm going to teach you how to place and trade and profit using power pivots. That is going to be covered right here, right now. Okay guys, so here we are in the Trading Den. It's very eerily quiet, but that's good because it gives us some lovely concentration time. And today I'm going to show you the tool that kicked it all off for me, and it's all about pivots. In fact, many of you might have Googled me on the internet and seen me make £19,000 in about 4 minutes, trading sterling, I think it was, back in those days. God, it was over literally 15 years ago, that particular trade. I'm going to show you today how I use power pivots. Now, power pivots is a real precision way of making money in the markets. For those of you who are trading throughout this coronavirus time will realize that the markets have literally gone mental. 2008's got nothing on what's going on right now. The market volatility, look, I'm going to say this straight off the bat. Market volatility right now will crunch you in half if you don't know what you're doing. Because right now, volatility is utterly fantastic. However, the swings and the movements, as those of you that are looking at the markets are probably aware, are pretty insane. And for that very reason, we are having a field day, but you've got to know how to handle intraday volatility. If you are unsure, you need to go back and look at my video on the ATR, which is the average true range. That's a cracking video, which is going to show you how to measure, look, where you should be putting that stop loss. If you look at the euro dollar, in fact, let's have a quick look at the euro dollar right now. I'm just going to jump to a regular chart. Let's brick up euro dollar on the daily. Let's just take a look at the daily chart. I mean, just look at the vast swings that we've got up and down that's happening on euro dollar. Same thing is for sterling. Let's just go British pound against US dollar. And you'll see. Hold on, I haven't got these ones sorted in the list. There we are, there it is. Same kind of picture with sterling. So big swings up and down. You know what's happening right now. We're getting deaths every 5 minutes from different countries around the world. You've got Donald Trump saying all sorts of crazy things. You've got Boris Johnson, who's the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has just come down with coronavirus, as has the Health Secretary. So it's all a bit mental. We're thinking the UK may be in lockdown till June, and the Deputy Health Minister has now just said that could even be extended to December. So who knows what the hell is going on? I can tell you one thing, for currency traders, whilst from a humanitarian perspective, this is a disastrous time. And of course, many people are losing their incomes. Many people are having to really reevaluate how they're going to live their lives this year. Currency traders are having a field day. I mean, let's be really clear about that. There is volatility out there. And what we don't want is flat, snake-like markets. We want markets which are raging up and down. You only need to look at this chart to see that markets are raging up and down. So there is opportunity out there. The question then becomes, responsible trader, how do I harness, how do I tether that bull, and how do I make sure I can use it in a productive way to make money rather than just get slopped around, because there is a lot of slopping around going on out there. I'm going to introduce you now to a trading tool I've been using for literally the last 25 years. It's the concept of trading pivots or using pivot points. So this is power pivot points. We're going to get into that right now. So let me just jump to, if you look at my screen, you'll notice that I've got a little button here called Morning Pivots. And really what I'm doing here is I've set my screen layout in Smart Charts so I get a good view on what the markets are doing. Now, if you look how I've organized this, and if I put my mouse here, you can see I've got my four screen layout is detailed as the following. I'm going to tell you how I do this so you can set your smart charts up to be exactly the same as mine. So you'll notice that if I click here, I can grid my charts for 4 charts. You want to make sure that's selected. Top left-hand corner, we're going to have the daily chart. That's D1 daily chart. So you select daily here, and you just literally pick daily. No strategy here at all, not useful, because we're literally going to do this as a manual setup. You'll see how the whole thing comes together in a second. Now you'll notice the green dotted line here is the 200 period moving average. Now that is the guideline for, is the market in an uptrend or a downtrend? It's a very broad kind of indicator which says, look, if the markets are trading underneath that 200 period moving average on the daily, we're looking at short positions. Now, we then move over to the next screen on the right-hand side, and you'll notice there's a green spot. Now, let me just click on that green spot. And what I've done is I've series linked these charts together, which basically means that whatever currency I select on any of the charts on this screen, it will update all the other charts. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm just using these 4 separate windows to have just a different view on the same world. Of course, right now I'm looking at dollar Swiss. That's USD/CHF. And you'll notice I've picked the same color. So they're all the same color links. If I confirm that, it just means if I change anything here, it will update all the screens. See, look, I've just clicked on Sterling Kiwi and it's updated all those screens. Let me go back to the dollar Swiss though, because I want to focus predominantly on that. There it is. Right, now, you'll notice I've created a green dotted line, which is going to be the 200 period moving average. If you don't know how to put that on your chart, let me just quickly show you how to do that. You come across and you hit here indicator, and I've got in here EMA. So you just type in here EMA and it brings up the exponential moving average, and then on it goes. Now let me show you how you edit the exponential moving average. Let me just remove one because you don't need 2 moving averages of the same number. I just then hit this cog, this settings button here. And all I've done is I've said source is closed, it's exponentialized, which means it gives more pricing relevance to more recent pricing data. So that's exponential. The style I've picked is dotted, nice fat line 4, so it's obvious, and I've made it green, I update that. And that gives me that dotted red, that dotted green line, which is the 200 period moving average. On dollar Swiss, you can see that price is underneath the 200. So that tells us that's a tick for a short. Then we move across to the 4-hour chart. Price is underneath that. That's a tick for a short. Then the bottom left screen, and notice I've just added the same indicator to all of those screens. I can even save that profile of indicator if I want. All I just would do is I hit the save button here, and I can call this, I don't know, call it Greg Pivot, if we like. And I can say save that, and that's now Greg Pivot. Then if I then open it, if I then want to add it onto here, I'll just hit Greg Pivot, hit the plus, and it adds it to there, you see? So boom, done. But obviously I want to keep it nice and simple like that. So I can add, let me just close that. I can add any of those profiles or templates I want to any of my screens. That's completely acceptable. Now, bottom left-hand corner, I've got the hourly chart. So I can see price is again underneath that 200 period moving average. And then here, and this is the interesting one, is my 5-minute chart, okay? And that is the one that I'm going to have my pivot lines on. So what am I looking to do? Well, let's open up the action window. Is the window which is bottom right. That's the one where all the trading activity is going to take place. So I'm going to open that window right now, and you'll see if we can just drag this down. Now you can see this main pivot point line. Let me just change my my cursor to a grab tool. Let me just see if I can bring this now. Okay, great. So you can now you're getting an understanding. Now, you can see price is sitting right in the middle of that main pivot point line. So what is a pivot point line? How are these pivot point lines calculated? What is the game all about? Pivot point lines are calculated from the previous trading session's activity. So you'll notice the main blue line is an important, that's called the main pivot point line. If the price is below that line, we look to take short positions. If the price is above the blue line, we'd look to take long positions. However, we would not be taking a long position here because we're actively seeking short positions here. So if you look here on here, we would wait for this price to break below the blue line, and then we would run it just north of the first red S1 line. So this is the support first S1 line. This is S2, and lower down here will be S3. Above is R1, which stands for resistance line 1. This is resistance line 2. And of course, this is resistance line 3. So on the dollar Swiss, I can take this trade on. Now, let me show you how you can kind of make this a little bit better. So I would take this trade on if I get a confirmed break below that pivot point line. Now you can see markets in the dollar Swiss market are sitting right on the pivot point line. There's really no major direction moving here. That's okay, because that means it's potentially going to break down or break up. If it breaks up, I'm not interested in placing the trade whatsoever. I'm only interested in placing a trade which would go short. Because why? Because I've got all the major market direction in my favor. Look to the left. Is the price below the 200 on the daily? Yes, it is. Is the price below the 200 on the 4-hour? That's this top right-hand chart. Yes, it is. Is the price below the 1 hour on the 200? That's the bottom left chart. Yes, it is. And then finally, where I do my work, my action, is here on that bottom right chart. Now hit the middle button there on Smart Charts, which will expand that screen so I can really see what I'm doing. You'll see price is now stuck onto that pivot point line. That is an uncertain market, but that's okay. When market gets some direction, if it continues in the same direction, physiology of the other major time frames, when we're looking up to get our major time frame direction, that daily, that 4-hour, that 1 hour, which is pushing down, we want to set ourselves up to catch this little fish if it's going to move in our direction. Let me show you how you do that. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit the short button. Now I'm going to move my lines around. So I hit the short button and I say, look, I'm going to take profit north of the red line. I'm going to have my sell entry. And if I'm smart about this, I move my short line just south of where we've had this. So I'm going to let it clearly break through that major pivot point line. And I want my stop loss to be up here. So I've got some nice protection. So you can certainly see, look, I'm risking £2,000 to make 2,600. And why have I put it just north, let's say, of this R1 line? Because you're going to find that price is going to bounce off there. If it drops through here and enters me short, for it to come all the way back and break through the main pivot point line, and break through the R1 line, it's a dumb trade. It's a duff trade, it hasn't worked out. But I'm giving myself plenty of protection. I'm putting my stop loss behind the main pivot point line, which is now has got a breakthrough to go short, and I'm putting my stop loss above that R1 line. That's really going to be important. That's going to give me lots and lots of protection. Plus, I've got more profit to make than I'm risking, but it nearly is a one-to-one. Profit is a little bit more in my favor. So I like the look of that trade. I've got all the major market direction in my favor. The price would have to break down through the pivot, and I'm making sure that it's breaking through enough of this support, which is formed just underneath the pivot point line. So I want to make sure that I get through the pivot point line. I want to make sure I break through the price support that's there, and then it's on its way. To victory. My take profit should be north. Should be north of that major support line. So it's basically a one-to-one nearly kind of trade. I like the look of it. I then just hit go, and then that is all set up and it's ready to trade. Let's have a look at a couple more just to give you an understanding of how that works. But hopefully you can see there's a structure to this. There's the daily, there's the 4 hour, there's the 1 hour, and then the action happens on that 5-minute chart. Let's look at a couple more. I did spot euro yen this morning, so I can literally, these are all series linked, so I just click on one and it should update all of my charts. There we go. So again, I've got price on the daily, which is below the 200, as you can see. I've got price just below, around the 200 on the 4 hour, price just below the 1 hour. Like this look. We like the look of this because we're just breaking through those 200 on the daily, on the hourly or on the 4 hour, which means we could have a good push from here. Let's open up the 5-minute chart. Now we can see what's happened here. Well, on the 5-minute chart, we're already through the main pivot point line. That happened this morning. Look at that. High test off this morning, lovely run down. The move's already happened on that. Okay, fair enough. So what happens? How else can we play this? Well, we can look, if the market comes back and touches again towards the 200, that can give us an opportunity to go short. We can put a short position on that, no problem whatsoever. And that means that then if it does, we can put a sell stop here with a stop loss. Let's put that in. So I can put my stop loss above. I can put my sell entry if we hit around this level here, and I can put my take profit right back down to where it was before. That should then give me, let's have a little look. Yeah, I'm gonna put my stop loss just north of the pivot point line, because that is going to give me enough resistance protection. Quite happy with that. There's no point in putting it all the way at R1 because we can see the range where the euro yen is. You can see what happened early this morning. Touched up through the pivot point line, fell, hit a lovely good old 70 pip run this morning. Could go ahead and do that this morning. So I can just leave this bait in the water. If the market comes back and touches that, I'm going to be short at this level here, which is short of 119.85. Stop loss at 120.31. And my take profit, if I can use my eyeballs, 119 spot sort of 20 or somewhere around there. 20, no, actually 15, I think. Yeah, 13. Okay, 119, 13 or 11. Doesn't matter. It's there or thereabouts. In fact, actually I want it. Yeah, let's go 11, 119, 12. That would be the preferred number. So yeah, my profit target is 3,300. I'm going to take, my trade size is 6 lots. By the way, if you're concerned or you're worried or you don't understand how to trade size properly, Smart Charts does this so beautifully and so elegantly. On the right-hand side here, look, I just put in the risk on my ultimate account. There's 104 grand in this account. So I'm only going to risk 2% of my account. Then Smart Charts cleverly figures out how many lots I should use, or if we want to do spread bets or pounds per points or contracts for difference. It really doesn't matter. You can actually trade size in a variety of different ways. Pounds per point, lot size, cash amount, whatever you like. Anyway, so on the euro yen, you can see again, I've got all that trade confluence is what we call it in the mix. So I now can hit, I can put my expiry, because it's a pivot, is end of day. So I'm going to stick that on end of day. In other words, if it doesn't happen by the end of today, those pivot point lines are irrelevant. So I want this trade taken off the table. I didn't do that with my last trade. Let me show you how you go back and do that. I literally can shrink the screen right down. Then I go back to trade. You'll see the 2 trades I just put on. Let's put pending here. And the first one I did was that dollar Swiss. And you can see that trade is in. And there's my expiry. I put no expiry on that one. So I want to go and change that trade. So let me pick this one back up. There we go. So I've clicked on it. Now watch. if I bring the trade ticket, change my expiry here, and I put end of day, and then I hit OK, it'll then put the end of day, which means that it's going to be in 9 hours and 23 minutes. And there you go. You can see the countdown clock is ticking. So if I go back to my charts, let's just have a quick look at sterling. Last one I want to have a look at, and then you'll get a good understanding. You can see now it's put a dotted line. Do you see the dotted line on the top? That is when the trade expiry is going to happen. If I open up this screen here and I scroll along, hold on, you'll see this dotted line. That dotted line says this trade will be taken off the table if it hasn't triggered at this point. So that gives you an understanding of how the trade management system works, okay? And let's just do one more. A little sterling trade again. So we've got price. We haven't got confluence here. Price is above the 200 on the hourly. Was it sterling Aussie? Perhaps I was looking at this morning. Yeah, you've got a lack of confluence here again. So you've got price above. Here we go. This is a bit better. And you've already had the reaction. So sterling Aussie price above the 200 on the daily, as it is on the 4 hour, as it is on the 1 hour. Bringing up then the action charts for these pivots. Look at this. I mean, this is a volatile market, no less, right? But let's just bring that across. So this is your 5-minute chart. Now you can see price has broken up through the 200, through the main pivot point line here. Your profit target would be the R1. We're not in an ideal situation to enter this trade for obvious reasons, because it's either in play. I don't like the look of trading this above that, so that's not something I want to do. But you've got the two ones on there, the euro yen. The reason I wouldn't enter this one is because either we would want to make sure we've cleared this these would be intra pivot point resistance areas, and we want to get it on a break through the main pivot point line here. That's already happened, so that's not to be traded right now. But the euro yen one we can keep watching, and the dollar Swiss one, have a look yourself on your copy of Smart Charts. If you haven't got yourself a copy of Smart Charts, look in the description of the video here, and there's a 7-day free trial of Smart Charts for anybody who's a subscriber to my YouTube channel. Just take advantage of that. You'll find there's lots of training. If you're not, one of the things I wanted you guys to be really aware of is I try and put lots of great content on the YouTube channel. I know lots of other people who run their YouTube channels run it as advertising campaigns. Look, I believe in just giving you the content and the training on there, and then, you know, and I think if you just serve people and give them as much great content as possible and help them, they'll make a decision whether they want to go ahead and do the full training. But I will say this, and please don't think this is a big pitch or anything, but the training in Smart Charts is incredible because it's been chapterized, which means we build you up. There's a whole trader cycle which has been built up so that each layer sits on top of itself. So then when you get to the kind of training I'm doing on YouTube, you're going to go, oh my God, yeah, I see exactly where that slots into the grand scheme of things. So we've put probably about 2.5 years of thinking into how to structure this in such a way that it's modularized, but you can then follow it, and you can and you can really build yourself from the ground up. So if you haven't got a free copy of Smart Charts yet, it runs for 7 days. Grab it and then go through all the training, because I think you're going to find that to be incredibly powerful and helpful. So that is my power pivot strategy. Let's watch those over the next couple of days. That euro yen, that dollar Swiss trade. Remember, it's confluence of all of the time frames. We want to make sure we got that done. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you get yourself on there and do that. And don't forget to look in the description if you'd like to get yourself access to Smart Charts. There is a hell of a lot of tools. I've only shown you a little bit so far. Grab that. And if you're at home in isolation, which seems to be the case for most of the world, please take care of yourself and your family, and I look forward to seeing you at a future training video from here in the Trading Day.
I wouldn't blame you if you didn't watch this. See, there's Apple Music, not to mention Apple TV Plus. Whoa, we did warn you. Watch out, there's more. Brace yourselves. Are you still watching? Get EE Business Full Works Plan for iPhone, or get Plan Envy.